Good evening. Calling to order the Municipality of Monroeville's regular council meeting for August 10th, 2021. It is 7:08 p.m. If we'd all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Roll call, please.
Mayor Griesau?
Here.
Mrs. Gatos?
Here.
Mr. Poach?
Here.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Wolfram?
Here.
Mr. Osenko? Mr. Williams?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Mr. Little?
Here.
Mr. Ratcher?
Here.
Ms. Rock?
Here.
Mr. Hugus?
Here.
Mr. Sedmak?
Here.
Mr. Weldon?
Here.
We're going to begin our meeting with our public comments section. Public comment on proposed agenda items only. This is if there's anything on the agenda that any resident would like to ask questions or speak about. Now would be your time to do it. We always ask to have a 5-minute time limit during those comments. That allows us to keep the meeting moving in an effective manner. So if there's anyone that would like to address council on any of the proposed items, now would be your time. Seeing none, we're going to move over to, we have an executive session announcement. The council conducted an executive session before the regular council meeting this evening on Tuesday, August 10th, 2021, from 6:15 p.m. to 7 p.m. for personnel and litigation reasons. Council legislative action, if any, shall be taken at the Tuesday, August 10th, 2021 council meeting this evening. Council, we have minutes for your approval of Citizens Night of July 8th, 2021, the council agenda setting meeting of July 8th, 2021, and the regular council meeting of July 13th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions or additions, comments?
None, sir.
Seeing none, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Wolfram?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Council, the reports of the tax collections. Is there a motion on the floor?
Motion?
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Comments, council? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wolfram?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
The ayes have it. List of bills and budget transfers. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Wolfram?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
The ayes have it. And your payroll report, is there a motion?
Motion. Second.
Motion is second to approve. Any comments or questions?
Yes, sir.
Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wolfram?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
The ayes have it. And all these items were discussed at our work session on Thursday. Council, moving over to our vacancies on boards, commissions, and authorities. In your packet, it's the blue section.
Just one.
Mrs. Gatos, anything this evening?
No, sir, thank you.
Mr. Poach?
No, sir.
Mr. Harvey?
Just to announce, as we did in the past with these committees, there's a vacancy on the Recreation and Parks Advisory Board for Ward 3, and I'm making that announcement for the second month in a row.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Mr. Wolfram?
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Williams?
Nothing.
Mr. Wilson?
Nothing, but Mayor, I have a question I'd like to put before council. In the Home Rule Charter, there's a Part B that requires resumes to be presented to Mr. Little for the approval of council in order to have them approved for the board. And I would like to have council randomly tell me if they agree or disagree with this rule or law that's already in our home rule charter.
So, I'll let you drink first. Mr. Ratcher, so the question is about the home rule charter
Yes,
and the requirements for an individual resident that wants to put their name in for a board or commission.
correct, correct. And this is something that I think we talked about a couple of months ago. And the word resume is in there. Council has had a long-standing custom and practice of submitting information to the municipal manager. I'm not saying that's correct or incorrect. What I'm saying is, that is the custom that I believe that Mr. Little could attest to, and I think a lot of you members of council who've been up here for 7 or 8 years now, that's always the way it's been done. Now, if you decide that a resume means a written piece of paper with certain qualifications that has to be placed before council and presented at a public meeting,
Excuse me, Mr. Ratcher, I'm not saying it has to be a full resume, a full personal resume. What I'm recommending is some information about the candidate so that all of council is able to review that and make a educated decision, that's all.
No, and I wasn't trying to put words in
No,
your
no,
mouth.
I understand.
What
No.
I really mean is, you all up here ultimately decide what constitutes a resume. It can be as brief or as detailed as
Right.
you choose for it to
Right.
be. So bottom line is that I think what council needs to decide is what they want to see before they act on a particular appointment, or a nomination for that matter.
Well, I've always believed that if we have someone that's willing to volunteer.
I'm sorry, I
their
can't hear
time-
you, Linda.
I've always believed if we have a resident that is willing to volunteer their time to one of our boards, that I don't need to dig further into their
So
background.
you're saying no to that?
I'm saying I don't feel the need for it, that we have so many vacancies that aren't filled.
Well,
And-
if it's part of the law, which is part of the home rule charter,
But we've gone by letters of
that,
interest
wait,
before.
wait. We're gonna start from square one.
But I would leave that.
If
probably
square
to
one
council.
would be that starting tonight, anybody that applies for a
Board.
as a candidate that applies for a board should require a resume to Mr. Little. Then Mr. Little can send them out to all of council, and we can go from there. We can make an educated decision at that point.
He doesn't want to.
Yeah, so, okay, if I could just add, because, so Mr. Wilson, you're mentioning, I'm looking at the home rule charter. There's 4 pages regarding boards, commissions, and authorities. You're speaking about the vacancy section. You said B,
I believe it is B.
section B?
Yes.
If I could just read it, maybe that'll help people. Nominations shall be made at a council business meeting, and that's what we already do. That's the section we just went through just now. That would be the nomination or the
Right.
appointment process. At the time of the nomination, each nominating official shall publicly present to council a resume of the nominee's qualifications, which shall include a summary of nominee's civic interests and contributions and special qualifications for the proposed appointment. Nominations shall be acted on at the next business meeting, but not sooner than 25 days after the date of the nomination. And that's where we get into, someone gets nominated, and then they're on the agenda for a month, and then they get appointed the following month. It's something we speak about. And I would say that, yeah, that really hasn't happened. Someone hasn't nominated someone and said, hey, nominate this person, and here's their resumes. I think maybe historically what the intent was, if you wanted to you had interest in a board, you would send a letter at the time you mailed it, but
I've
then you
always
got-
had to send
then you
a
got
letter.
into emailing it to the manager with
Right.
a letter of interest and a resume.
Right.
And I guess maybe the question is that something that council wants, moving forward, wants people to do, that they send in,
Well, I don't think they have a choice based on the home rule charters.
yeah, Mr. Ratcher.
My suggestion maybe would be, if council wants to do this, would be for a form to be drawn up by the municipality.
I'm sorry, Bob, I can't hear you.
A form to be drawn up by the municipality, and then that form could be filled out.
Right, there you
So that
go.
you would
Great
have
idea.
consistent information, maybe that would, and
That
then it
might-
could just,
that might
it could just
solve-
be
Great
part of the
idea.
package.
Solves the
That
problem.
would
I think
suffice.
that may solve exactly what we're both looking for, Tom, so we're not
Are
taking.
we, Eric, are you in agreement?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the
Ron?
question, so with the form, well, hold on.
Are you in-
Question, I have
I'll
a
go-
question to
I'll-
you
I'll
then.
Okay,
pull
okay.
everybody
I have a
to talk.
question to Tom. So the form of the information, and then the expectation that we see that, but when we see this document here, who's nominated, have we directed the manager to put it on there and supply us that information?
Well,
let's say
I
there's six
I don't think
people,
it has to
five-
be that formal. What I'm basically saying is, based on what the Home Rule Charter says,
Right,
that they submit a resume to the manager, a brief, and Bob's suggestion is great. And then Mr. Little either emails it to us or sends it out to us.
We don't always
we
see it.
review it, and if I have a question with your candidate, I call you or Linda, or, you know, something like
But it
that.
should also be
But-
part of
But
the-
in 9 times out of 10, there's no question.
Right, because we don't normally even see if someone does send a resume.
Right.
Mr. Little does, we don't even know.
Right, well, see,
Sure.
that's why we should know.
There was a time when we did receive resumes,
have se-
and
I
it,
have
but it all
seen-
depends on the
It seems like
individual.
since our packets
So,
with stuff, it's,
Maybe we need to try to maybe be a
I
little
like
more
a
consistent.
form that we can.
Yes, that's a
receive.
great idea.
why they're interested in that
Do
board.
do you want to make it the form, do you want to make that as a motion then, Tom?
Do we
All
want
right,
to
well,
say
let's-
form or a resume?
Well, form
If
is the
someone-
minimum.
Exactly,
It's
but if
the
someone has a
minimum.
resume,
It's the minimum, because
certainly
that was the
hand that in.
question we haven't
It's a
decided in the past.
mini resume, basically, because right now, from what everybody's come to me, it's been a verbal thing.
Right.
You know, either
Well,
over
see,
a
and
phone
I've seen-
or
and
some
I've seen
kind
them
of
Right.
too, and I've seen a
Right.
letter,
message or
and I've
something
seen a
of that
resume.
nature.
Yeah, I've seen letters of
a
interest, I've
multiple
seen resumes.
Right.
So minimum, the form,
So it's real easy to say, Mr. Smith, if you want to apply for the Parks and Rec, just get us a brief resume,
That's all.
you know, of how
fill out this form.
how you can help us.
That's not, no, that isn't what you said before. So fill out this form,
Well,
And some
but,
attach
but,
whatever
but
else you
what I'm
attach.
saying is, no, Eric,
Right.
no.
But you don't have to
You don't-
attach
you don't have to
anything.
attach it. Minimum is the
And it may
form.
just
Something
say,
like-
this is who I am, this is what
Yeah,
I
oh,
live, this is
absolutely.
what I do or what I did.
Absolutely.
Or the
But
form,
these are my interests.
or have, Tim, I hate to put more work on you here, but construct the form that's consistent with what's in the ordinance.
Sure.
Okay?
Ron, you're
So
shaking your head.
the information is on there, it's consistent with it.
We don't
That's
need
the
a-
minimum
We
that
don't
we
need a
have.
full resume.
I'm sorry?
I don't think we need a full resume from
No,
someone.
I don't either. That's not what I'm saying.
Just
No.
what they're interested in that board.
Right, why are you interested in
Yeah.
this board?
And maybe some qualifications, if that's.
Right.
Well, if they
Right.
want to add those only.
Right,
Because, I
well,
mean,
yeah.
it could be that I like to plant
Eric?
vegetables in the
And the
garden, so I
form-
want to be on
yeah.
Park and Rec.
Yeah, and the form meets the requirements, it's listed in
Okay.
the ordinance.
And this isn't up for a vote, it's just a matter of if we all agree on this, then we tell Mr. Little that, let's,
in
you
agreement.
know, have
Or
this
something.
form or whatever we decide on, and so that we can all have an idea who, what, and where.
Form is a minimum, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Ron?
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah,
Well, wait, Ron has something to say.
I was just gonna say that, all the way back in the beginning, I was 100% in favor of it, because the word resume, to me, is different than you and different to you, and we might all supply different information, some less, some more, or if you had a form, we could pretty much guarantee receiving
Right,
the same
absolutely,
information all the
yes.
time.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
that's why I would be in favor.
Yeah.
Nothing too burdensome, because we want to
Great
encourage
idea.
people
Encourage our
to get
residents.
involved.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
I think it's fair, but I think it's fair to ask, why do you want to be on this board?
right,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you can ask how long they've been a resident.
Sure.
You know.
yeah, oh, there you go, yeah.
The word resume probably scares some people.
I
I
agree.
imagine.
a
They
Yeah.
think it's a
1,000%.
real formal.
Sure.
Great.
Or it's a long
Thank you,
background.
everyone. I appreciate
Well,
your
And if I could
consideration.
belabor it, thanks, Mr. Wilson, if I could just belabor this a little bit further. So whenever we advertise for these vacancies, I believe the advertisement says, submit a resume to Mr. Little. So maybe that is something that
Well,
is
why don't you
scaring
say
people.
submit a municipal resume?
Right.
That way it means get
Interest.
our.
Or how about maybe contact Mr.
Yeah.
Little and then he supplies the form?
That's
or
what I was just
emails
gonna
the
say.
form back, because
Contact-
otherwise I think maybe
Submit a
people
letter
do
of
get.
interest or
Or it's
something,
on
then
the
he can send
website.
them, or,
That's
Exactly.
downloadable for people
So-
to complete.
but figure out the verbiage, Mr. Little,
Yeah.
and let's move forward with that,
Yeah,
please.
that's no problem.
Very good.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Okay.
Council, we are moving into our consent agenda. We have two motions this evening.
Okay, the first motion is a motion to authorize to advertise an ordinance to establish a stop sign on Young Drive at Cathedral Drive. And council tabled this motion last month and would have to, if they want to act on it, would have to untable it.
We need Mr. Hughes to tell for
Wait.
traffic
Well,
study.
if we
I don't know
want,
that we want to untable this yet.
No, we need Mr. Hughes to tell us.
The data has been collected. The study's not been done. I mean, we need, The data collection is one part of the study.
Okay.
We're
So
not ready
all the
for
information is
table.
not here yet.
The first part of it has been started.
Okay.
So we have
So
to
Leave it
staff's
table.
recommendation is to
Leave it
remain
Remain
table.
tabled.
Yeah.
They complete.
And then there was a question about the street names. Was that cleared up?
That's cleared up.
Yes.
That is, okay, thank you. Council, next motion.
Okay, motion to authorize to advertise an ordinance approving a grading easement for Sandy Hill Development LLC concerning property owned by the Municipality of Monroeville located adjacent to the Maple Crest Residential Development.
Motion approved.
A second.
I don't even know what.
We have a
it means.
motion and a second to approve, and we can have discussion now. Is there a Mr. Harvey, do you have a question?
Yeah, could you, I mean,
You weren't here on
Yeah.
Thursday, that's all.
This was something that was previously approved for that development over there. The developer came back and wanted an easement that was bigger in scope. But I've reviewed it, planning has reviewed it as well, and everything seems to be in order.
okay.
Any other questions, council?
Yeah, will that property still be, belong to municipality?
Yes, yes, they just have the right to
Grade it?
grade the slope there, and there's, I think, some drainage as well involved with it. Is there not, Paul?
I don't remember if there's any pipes involved, but I know it's a slope.
Yeah, yeah, it's primarily a slope easement.
It's where you at.
Okay.
Any other questions, council? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. Welcome, Mr. Arasinko. Thank you. We have a motion and a second on the floor right now to approve the second motion. That's the motion to authorize to advertise the ordinance approving the grading easement.
Thank you, Mr.
No further questions or comments at this time. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Wolfram?
Aye.
Mr. Arcinigo?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Council, moving over to our resolutions. We have 3 this evening.
Well, we have one more motion that has emanated, and I've mentioned to council members about this, it has emanated out of the Civil Service Commission. And this would be a motion to authorize to advertise amendments to the civil service regulations to reflect Pennsylvania Legislature's enactment of Act 57 and 59 of 2021, and to waive Act 120 requirements at the time of hire.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion is second to approve, and this is only to
Approve advertisement.
the advertisement part of it.
Advertising, that's all.
Questions or comments, council? Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Arcinigo?
Aye.
Mr. Wolfram?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
The ayes have it. And just for the residents, when we talk about, authorizing the advertisement, we have to advertise ordinances a month in advance before we can discuss them publicly. So there's a couple steps here with this. So there are no surprises, but this is so we can move forward down the road. So that's the 3 motions for this evening, Mr. Little.
Yes, yes.
Now we have 3 resolutions, if you would.
Yeah, a resolution adopting the Maple Crest Phase 3 Residential Subdivision Sewage Planning Module. We discussed this at the Thursday work session.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Wolfram?
Aye.
Mr. Arcinigo?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Okay, number 2 is a resolution authorizing the sale of a 2007 emergency one cyclone pumper truck, PA titled number 6547616.
Motion to approve.
To Wolf Creek Fire Protection District.
Close enough.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
And we have a second.
Prematurely.
You got any questions or comments?
None.
And the final
I
price?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Ron, excuse me, how close are we to finalizing the sale of the pumper?
Yes.
Well, they've already sent $15,000 down electronically to Holder. I believe Josie can confirm
Right.
that.
Yes.
And they are working with their financial institution, who they already had the approval for the rest of the funds.
Right.
They just got to process them. So the other $190,000 should be coming shortly.
Okay,
That
thank you.
includes us delivering it to them.
Oh, you have to deliver, where's it at?
Missouri,
Missouri?
How you gonna do that?
Rock
Right.
will take a vacation.
one
We're not gonna
person's
fly
gonna
it.
drive it, 3 tanks of fuel, overnight stay, and fly home. So,
You're going for the ride, Tom.
Oh,
You're
no.
driving it, Tom. I don't, there's-
Yeah.
You'll be on the
I
ladder.
could drive it, but I couldn't last the trip.
Do we have to replace this pumper? We're selling this
Replaced.
one.
It's
Already-
replaced.
Yeah, it's
The
already.
replacement pumper's already here,
Replaced, okay.
And the final price,
That's the one,
final sale price?
205,000.
Yeah.
Ron, that's the one that, you used to help other communities with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I
It's
remember,
still,
I remember you had to go to Duquesne one time with it, which
if
was,
you remember, we approved its replacement last year, and Tim prepaid it, so it's
Yeah.
already paid for and delivered.
yeah.
Oh, good.
This will just, as per the fire agreement, live up to what they need to do.
Great.
Yeah,
Good
this money comes right back into and it
Right.
goes
Good
to
job
fire
on that.
suppression, which is,
Good
you know,
job.
we provide at a very high level here in Monroeville, and this definitely helps. So, nice job for everyone that made this happen. So there's a motion and a second to approve this item. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Arcinigo?
Aye.
Mr. Wolfram?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Next item, Mr. Little.
Okay, a resolution authorizing the municipality of Monroeville to enter into an agreement with the Allegheny County Sanitary Authority to amend the Alcoasand service area within a municipality.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sec-
Motion and a second to approve. Mr. Ratcher, if you could give a
I
quick
will.
overview.
Okay, so way back in 1955, Monroeville entered into an agreement with Alcoasand, which is the Allegheny County Sanitary Authority, for Alcoasand to be the exclusive party who would treat and dispose of all the sewage that was created in Monroeville and flowed through the sewer lines. So that agreement made Alcoasand the exclusive provider. Part of Monroeville, the part that's near Murraysville, Shangri-La,
Top of the
the
hill.
back of Cabot Road, those properties are over the hill, and geographically, it is impossible, or was impossible, for that sewage to flow by gravity back into Monroeville's system to ultimately get to Alcoasand. So what happened for many years was the municipality, at some expense and inconvenience, had pump stations that would pump the sewage uphill over the top of the hill and drain into the Alcoasand system. In 1994, the municipality realized that that sewage could flow directly into the Franklin Township Sanitary Municipal Authority, which is located in Westmoreland County in Murraysville. So without speaking with Alcoasand, for whatever reason, Monroeville entered into an agreement with Franklin Township Municipal Authority, Municipal Sanitary Authority, and those properties started flowing down, their sewage started flowing down into the Franklin Township plant. This continued for almost 25 years, and a couple of years ago, the shopping center out there, Murray's View Plaza, they approached Alcoasand about joining the other parties who had already gone into Franklin Township Sanitary Municipal Authority, at which point Alcoasand said, "What are you talking about?" So it turns out that Monroeville violated the agreement when they signed the FDMSA agreement in 1994. So the last couple of years have been spent in discussions with Alcoasand about how to remedy this situation. And the important thing to remember is for about 27 years, we violated the agreement, and what that meant was Alcoasand they didn't get the sewage, but they also didn't get the revenue, which is what they exist for, is to get the revenue so that they can process the sewage. So just in that area, without interest, it's probably about $150,000 a year, which for about 27 years works out to about $4 million. You probably add the interest that might be due onto it, it'd probably be like $7 or $8 million they could demand. And quite frankly, I don't know how the municipality would not be on the hook for a substantial amount of that money if they were to demand that. But Alcoasand has proposed that if Monroeville pays them the sum of $159,000, split into 3 payments over the next 3 years, that they will consider the agreement to be in compliance, and they will amend the service agreement that they have with Monroeville so that those properties that are hooked up to FTMSA are no longer part of their exclusive service area. So basically what it is it's a substantial liability in the millions that the municipality can settle for about $159,000 payable over 3 years. And nobody knows why Monroeville didn't contact Alcoasand when they did this with FTMSA back in 1994. That was 27 years ago. Obviously, it was none of you up here. So that is what the essence of the agreement is. And we've been working to come to some agreement with Alcoasand, and this is a result of it. I think it's a very favorable settlement, and I would recommend the council approve it. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
I just have one.
Yeah.
How many houses does this involve?
I think it's 130 taps seems to ring in my head.
Steve, did you see
So
this
130
pink list?
different,
See the
people
list in pink?
pardon me?
I think all the houses are
Yeah, they're all
listed.
listed.
Yeah, there's a map, there's a map
There's
too
a
in the back.
map,
of
and there,
the
all the
ordinance.
addresses are listed on all these
Yeah,
sheets.
yeah.
Okay,
I think it's around 130 though.
okay. Yeah, there it is there.
So there's quite a few. This
No,
is a
thank you for
good-
the
good deal.
explanation.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Any other questions or comments, council? We have a motion and a second to approve. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Mr. Poach.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. Wolfram.
Aye.
Mr. Arciniga.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Council, moving over to our ordinances this evening, we have 4. Mr. Retcher, please.
First is an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville authorizing the proper officials of Monroeville to enter into a collective bargaining agreement with the Public Works Bargaining Unit for the period of January 2020 through December 2023. And this is an ordinance that was tabled on July 13th, 2021, so if council intends to
Motion to
act
take it
on
off the table.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to
Take it off
remove
the
it from the table. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Arciniga.
Aye.
Mr. Wolfram.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. Poach.
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Motion to approve.
Now, we have a motion to approve
Second.
and a second. Any questions or comments, council? Seeing none, roll call, please. Motion and a second to approve.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Mr. Poach.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. Wolfram.
Aye.
Mr. Arciniga.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Mr. Ratcher, next item.
An ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville authorizing the proper officials of Monroeville to enter into a collective bargaining agreement with the Refuse Collection Division of the Department of Public Works for the period of January 2020 through December 2023. This matter is also on the table per last month's meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to leave it tabled for now.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second, but what we can do is just take no action.
Yes.
It will remain tabled.
Right.
Yes.
And if that's council's wish, we will move on.
Move on.
Yeah.
Very good. Next item.
An ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville amending ordinance number 848 regulating parking on Hazelwood Drive.
Carousel.
Motion to approve.
And
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions or comments, council? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Mr. Poach.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. Wolfram.
Aye.
Mr. Arciniga.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Last ordinance, please, Mr. Ratcher.
An ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville amending ordinance number 46 as previously amended to incorporate the amended and restated pretreatment regulations adopted by Alcoasand Resolution 2021-4-1 dated April 22nd, 2021.
Motion to approve.
second.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve.
And
Comments
this
or
is a
questions?
this is a housekeeping item, Mr. Ratcher, please explain.
This is a housekeeping item. Alcoasand updated their pretreatment regulations. Conversely, consequently, we have to also update our local ordinances.
Any other comments or questions, council? We have a motion and a second to approve. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Arciniga.
Aye.
Mr. Wolfram.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. Poach.
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Mr. Ratcher, any other comments or items this evening as we move over to our reports?
No, I've had enough comments. And the hour's late.
You did a great job. Mr. Little.
Yeah, just one item. The Monroeville Jazz Festival will be Saturday, September 4th, 2 p.m. to dusk. There is a sign out by Alpine Village that says 2 p.m. to 4, which is incorrect. It'll be corrected by Thursday. And if any other sign says it. So it's 2 p.m. to dusk. We have 4 jazz groups. Moved it from August to September the 4th. And all the social distancing, we'll have signs up with social distancing, and we expect to have a lot of people there, but we're not going to mention anything about masks. See what the governor, if anybody says anything about that on outdoor activities. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Mr. Hugus, anything this evening?
I do have one item, not a Linda left. Old Ramsey Road wall reconstruction will start on Monday, the 16th. It'll be closed probably till the end of September, beginning of October.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you, Mr. Hugus. And is that work is being done,
Third-party contract,
third-party contracts?
except for the paving. The paving will be done with our paving contractor, Tresca.
And you feel we'll be able to get that done before
Yes.
the asphalt plants are closed?
Yes,
Very good. It's on the record.
it is.
Thank you. Josie, anything to say,
I
Ms.
do
Rock?
not have anything.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to open up the floor for public comment on any municipal item for any resident that would like to address council. Now would be your time. Once again, we try to keep it 5 minutes so we can keep the meeting moving along. So if there's anyone who'd like to present?
Library swag.
We have library representatives. Sign in for me, please.
We did.
Great, thank you. And then if you both want to introduce yourselves for the record, that'd be great.
Sure. Hi, Pam Bodziak, Assistant Director at Monroeville Library.
And David English, the president of the library board of directors.
Pam, David, welcome. Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Quick update on our safety precautions at the library in conjunction with a lot of the county libraries.
Would it
We,
be possible to get you to lower your mask when you talk?
Do you feel
I,
comfortable? If you don't,
I truly don't feel comfortable. I'd be happy to speak up. I have quite a projecting voice when I want to. So in conjunction with some of the other county libraries, we have been adopting the CDC recommended guidelines of wearing masks inside. We started that on Friday for staff and patrons. We have free masks on hand at the entryway, so nobody's had to go home or been asked to leave or anything like that. You can just grab one on the way in. So that has been working out well. We are also very excited to share that construction has begun at last on the new front driveway and the walkways. Yay. This project is being jointly funded by the Pennsylvania DEP Growing Greener program in partnership with the Allegheny County Conservation District, the Westmoreland Conservation District, and the Municipality of Monroeville. So thank you very much for that. We have some blueprints here, just real quick though, what's going on. The main purpose is to eliminate the constant flooding into the library's front entrance every time we get a good rainstorm, as well as reduce and improve the water quality of storm runoff to the Turtle Creek watershed. So there's going to be permeable pavement put in the entry drive to infiltrate stormwater, along with the rain gardens that will further help filter. We are also going to reallocate some of the accessible parking spaces, which will allow both for more permeable pavement as well as make the parking a little bit safer. It's going to be at reverse angle so that people aren't backing up into traffic anymore, into oncoming traffic when they're coming out. Some new accessible walks and ramps, and some improved lighting. So this is just a couple of pictures. Ground's just been broken in the last couple of weeks, but we're very excited to be on the way. And we thank everyone for their patience. Our patrons have been wonderful because, as I'm about to get to, it has affected how you enter the library. So our thanks to everyone for bearing with us through that. This is the temporary entrance into the library. It is around the rear of the building. It leads into our children's room. We have an elevator now, so that there's no problem with accessibility up to the main level. Because we now only have entry into the library through the children's room, we have temporarily suspended our contactless pickup. That was a service where people could walk in and out of the building without really going into the main area of the library, but that's temporarily closed for now. The good news for that is because we no longer require the minimal staffing in the evenings to stay open late for contactless pickup, we have been able to move our hours and shift our hours so that we can be open for full services for longer than we have been up to this point. So we're now looking at Monday and Thursday will be fully open until 9 o'clock at night. Tuesday and Wednesday we're there till 5, Friday 4, and Saturday 10 to 2.
Pam, sorry to interrupt you with a question, but what does that do about the overall impact on the time we're supposed to remain open related to the ACLA formula and the funding mechanism? in terms of time?
There are a couple things there. One is that the library code requires that we be open at least 45 hours a week.
Right.
That's where we are right now. But the ACLA formula, as you know, has an impact in terms of the bodies, the people who come through the door, the patrons who we interact with, as well as circulation, the funding we receive from the municipality. There are several parts of that formula. What we're hoping to do is to capture more of the patron interaction, obviously, through this. Long-term, we're trying to move toward, as we'll talk about in a minute, an opportunity to enhance the staffing in a way that would allow us to increase the hours.
But we're still down, what were we originally?
We were at 67 hours a week before the pandemic started.
Okay, too. So, and that's a question too also from our discussions at ALOM and some of the folks from the county, we had looked at the impact on the RAD funding overall and the municipality, and I'm looking to Greg because he's our ALOM in our League of Municipalities piece. Have you heard anything else? Because what we were told in April was like, the money that's coming from the federal government to the county is going to their budget first. Do we have any indication what it's going to impact the RAD numbers?
It's definitely gonna impact it. I don't know how much at this point, though. That hasn't been determined that I'm aware of, but we have a meeting September 2nd. So I'll have more information at the September meeting on what's gonna happen with the RAD money.
Yeah,
I
so we
did
have to
have
do
a-
everything we can to
I
keep all
had
those.
an electronic mail message this afternoon from ACLA
Oh.
that their budget presentation for RAD will be next Wednesday, and they expect a preliminary budget September 22nd. But that,
Correct.
again, it's
But well,
early.
I'll know more on the 2nd.
Perfect.
Because that's what we do.
Right,
Perfect.
match it.
So,
Okay,
okay.
thank you, appreciate that.
And you mentioned the 45 hours currently.
Correct.
Previously, it was 67. Where is that compared to other, I know we're kind of an outlier. We're still in the Carnegie system, but
No, we're
we also-
not in the Carnegie system.
Well,
They're a
we are
separate
connected, we are connected to the Carnegie.
Only through the opportunity to use the EI network and
Yeah, exactly.
to
But we
borrow.
are independent is what,
Correct, right.
but we still have access to Carnegie.
We have access to
That's
some
kind
of
of what I was
their,
trying
right.
to say.
They actually just reopened the Carnegie system as a whole and are just getting back to the hours we've had now for several months.
That's the point I was trying to get to. So are they kind of at 45 hours as well now, or not
The
quite?
main branch is a little bit more than that, but most of the satellite branches are less than 45 right now. Few of them have evening hours right now.
Can I ask a quick question? With the front entrance being finally fixed, which is wonderful news, because way back when I was on the board, it was like, that was an issue then, so I'm super glad to hear that. I'm not quite sure how long the project is gonna take, but we certainly are encouraging people to use the side entrance and come into the library because the counts are still very, very
Yes.
important. And we can still get the counts, even though you're not coming in the front door, we can come in the side door. So we
Yes.
are definitely encouraging people to take advantage of the side opening. There's an elevator, so it's not like you have to go up those steps any longer, you know, and you can go upstairs and use all of the facility available to you as if you came in the front door.
Absolutely.
And-
Thank you for saying that.
Sure.
And then if I could piggyback on that, just, I'm curious, the virtual, like, so ebooks, through, it's still Overdrive, or there's other companies like Overdrive?
Correct.
Those still count towards?
Correct.
Yes, those still
They
count
do.
towards
For circulation?
circulation numbers, even if you haven't physically taken any material, you might not have even physically come to the library that day. It still counts towards circulation numbers when you use those electronic.
And someone can find those apps, they can download those apps, where at, on the website?
You can find it on our website. You can call us. We have gotten very good at troubleshooting over the phone, especially in the last year. You can stop in at the library. Again, thank you for mentioning. Please don't let the construction put you off. We're
Right.
definitely still, we're definitely
Because
still
that may
there.
or may not have an impact on the contactless pickup, which is now discontinued.
Right,
Correct.
because
So
that
the
wasn't counted.
circulation is an element of that too, so
Correct.
that
Yes.
one side's dropping, the other, you know. it's
And
a
last
tough
but not
balance.
least, so I don't forget again, is please, if you use Amazon, which most of us do, pick the Monroeville Library as your smile.
Correct.
That makes donations, because
Thanks,
I
Lynn.
do.
Right.
So, and
Thanks, Lynn.
believe me, my husband will tell you, we must make a big donation, because the Amazon people are there a lot at the house. So,
Thank you for
anyhow,
Yes.
it's just another way to help out your local community library, so,
Thank
it doesn't cost you anything to do it, so.
Thank you. We've hijacked your presentation
No, no,
long
no,
enough.
that's
I've
okay.
said
We
not
appreciate,
fun.
we appreciate the comment.
Just a couple quick updates on what we're hoping to improve on. Most of these pictures were taken in the before times. The one on the right is a program that we were able to offer outside, which was attended very well. We are still working to increase our programming. It's still kind of minimal at the moment. We've gotten a lot of requests from the preschools and the daycares to come into, do STEM activities or story times that unfortunately we're not yet able to do. Requests for technology classes at the senior living centers. Reinstating the daily teen after school program, which in my other hat as the teen services librarian is a particular passion project of mine. We've had great success with the teen after school program, daily mentorship for community teens. Reinstating larger monthly events for families done more regularly, fund development, participation in community events, and just a return to our sort of regularly scheduled children's programming. We're still working on reinstituting all that, but it is on our radar.
So well, I do want to mention, September is Love Your Library Month
Yes.
coming up, and the buttons that Pam just passed out touch on that. For everyone who typically supports the library, September is an important month for us because all of the donations that we receive during the month of September are part of a match made by the Buncher Foundation. And in past years, we've been able to get a significant bump from the Buncher Foundation for all of the support that we receive. We'll be sending out more information to all of our patrons and sharing it with the municipality throughout the rest of August and into September, but we wanted to take a moment to mention that now. We'll have yard signs, we'll have more of the buttons. This year there'll be tote bags, which we're looking forward to sharing. I know last year a lot of my neighbors in our neighborhood had the signs up, so the councilman and I drove past those every day, which was heartwarming to see the support. So.
Yep. And just a quick thank you to everyone who helped out with our book sale a couple months ago, because I don't think we've been here since then. That was a true team effort. We got tons of donations. We got lots of help sorting, and we had a great turnout on the day of. So if you were able to swing by the book sale, thank you very much.
Just to let you know, the board is working with the director on staffing. We've talked to you before about the importance of having the additional staff. What we've discovered, as you probably are not surprised to hear, is during the pandemic, part-timers are tough to come by. A lot of folks have moved on to other roles. Opportunities are increasing for full-time work. The other thing that we've decided is that it would make more sense over the long term for stability to have more full-time opportunities. So we're going to be working with all of you as we navigate this. We're coming forward with some opportunities, we think, for some great possible outdoor activities that would include other departments and other entities like the Senior Center and Parks and Recreation. We've been talking with them, and there's a lot of excitement. So in the coming month, we'll be back to you with some great ideas there, and we look forward to working with you.
All right, thank you.
Great.
Thank
you
you
all
very
for your
much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I'm going to leave the floor open for public comment on any agenda item, or I'm sorry, any municipal item, rather.
That's fine, thank you.
Sir, if you could sign in, unless you already did.
Already signed in.
Okay, and if you could just, you can stand right there, it's perfectly fine. If you just state your name for the record and that you are a Monroeville resident, you don't need to say your address, but
Okay,
just that you are one.
right. My name's Chris Del Senor, and I'm a Monroeville resident.
Thanks,
Okay,
Chris, welcome.
Okay, thank you. I live on Kenmore Drive, and the reason I'm here today is because Kenmore Drive is due to be repaved here the next few weeks or so. And the residents of Kenmore Drive are very concerned about the speed of traffic going through the area. A lot of vehicles use Kenmore. You may use it yourself as a cutoff to go through McMaster Drive out to and then Kenmore onto Center Road. And if you're familiar with Kenmore Drive, and I do have a little map there, there's a couple bends in the road also.
Yeah.
And when this traffic comes through, they come through at a high rate of speed. We have a couple families with young children, so it becomes even more important that we try to slow down this traffic. And that's why we got the petition. And I will say most of the people who signed this petition were very enthusiastic about it. And so we just wanted to present this to you for your consideration. We thought it'd be a good time to do it and be very cost-effective time to do it, since you are going to do the repaving here in a few weeks.
Very good. And I do have, thank you, Chris, you handed in the petition. A page and some change. So it says, "We, the undersigned, petition the municipality of Monroeville to place at least 2 speed bumps on Kenmar Drive during or after repaving scheduled, scheduled to commence August, September of 2021. Speed bumps are required to slow down fast-moving through traffic that uses Kenmar Drive as a shortcut between 22 McMaster Drive and Center Road. This through traffic places at risk all residents of Kenmar Drive and especially children." That's what they have entered into the record here. So that is for council's consideration,
Mr. Mayor,
discussion.
may I, that is under my watch, and I'm in full support of Chris's efforts on this. And I would hope that,
Do we not need a traffic study?
well, I'm gonna pass it
Okay,
over to Mr. Hugus first, but
I just
just
had
want
question
council
marks
to
everywhere.
know
That's all.
that I am in favor of it, and I hope you will support this. Because if you ever been on that road.
I have been.
They speed like crazy there,
They
so
speed.
I think it's a safety issue. And Mr. Hugus, if you would, please
And
take a look at it.
Mr. Hugus, to start, what specifically is being done to the road? What's on the paving schedule?
It will be milled and paved.
It is being milled and paved.
Yes, it will. So this is step one as part of the traffic calming policy, getting the petition. So the next step, we could just move the traffic counters to Kenmar after we're done with Ruth and Bruder.
Mayor.
Mr. Harvey, yes.
I just want to advise the gentleman here, the same thing with the people on Bruner Drive and Ruth Drive, and pretty much anybody else that's watching. Because, and I'm not trying to be insulting, that your opinion is that the cars that come through there are exceeding the speed limit to a dangerous level, and the quantity is getting greater. You have to be prepared for why there's a traffic and engineering study. And the traffic and engineering study is going to take counts, times of days, speeds, the whole thing. And it may not warrant putting speed bumps in. Just because the residents signed a petition doesn't mean it's gonna happen. Understand that that traffic study has to occur to allow that to happen, to continue through the speed calming process. And if a certain percentage of the cars are not speeding or are not above a certain speed limit, and the whole study does not come back warranting this, it doesn't and can't happen.
Right, we understand that. We also understand that you might have the need for, again, people to look at where the bumps are, that there's all kinds of issues there. But, this is the first step. You need to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
It is.
And you did it
And I-
right.
And
But I wanted
that's
to make
exactly
everybody
right.
aware
Yeah,
that
you absolutely did it right.
that study that happens is very, very important.
And thank you, Mr. Harvey, for explaining that. I was going to do that, but you jumped ahead of me, but that's okay. Chris, you did the right thing.
traffic calming.
You got the votes, or the signatures, and that is the
Got
first.
the ball rolling.
Yes, and council, obviously no one here has any problems with starting the process of doing the study on the street. So I don't see any resistance there. So Chris, you did the right thing. We got the petition going. So, and then the next step is to see how the study comes back.
Okay.
Mr.
Thank you
Mayor, I
very
have a
much.
question for Mr. Harvey. I'm very familiar with that area. I was a mailman. I know all the streets in Monroeville. I know the situation because they're coming up Center, cutting onto Kenmar, going up to McMaster's and straight over to 22 or some other way. But that's mostly what they do and everything like that. Are they going through the stop signs here? Because I know where they are.
Yes,
I mean, rolling through blatantly, pretty much so?
it depends. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know there's 2 of them
Right.
and stuff like that. So.
Just the ones that have the white around.
Yeah, because I dealt with that. Like it says, walking and delivering the mail, and stuff like that.
So, but thank you. We always appreciate when, because we don't know everything.
Right.
We're not there. The residents are. So we sometimes need information brought to us.
That's a very
So
good
this
point.
is step one, and we thank you, and we
Okay.
will do
I
a
appreciate
traffic
you.
study and go from there.
I appreciate your hearing it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Good job.
I will leave the floor open for any resident that would like to address council on any municipal item. Seeing none, we're going to close that portion of the meeting, move over to reports of our council members. Mrs. Gatos, we'll start with you this evening.
I am going to have a very little short presentation on something that we had all worked on in the past and agreed to, which is the parks. And the work that the Public Works has done and Park and Rec has done, and you gentlemen have all been with me through this whole process, was to put in the made-for-me swings into some of our parks. Jared, are you ready to work with me on this? Okay, so it's gonna tell you, this is the 2 to 5 year old and the different parks that they're in. We have 7 for the ages 2 to 5. And it will tell you each of the parks that they're at. And what's nice about this is that the bigger one is for the 5 to 12s. We only have one of those. The reason being is that it's for a handicapped child and they get too heavy to lift into the swing. So, but right now we have 7 of the 2 to 5s, 1 of the 5 to 12s. So this is our first walking into an area of trying to help out parents that have handicapped children and give them a way to enjoy our parks as well as everybody else. So I'm very, very excited to present this to our people. The community park, as you can see, has 4 of them. So then the next ones we have, Jared, do you have that? These are called reflection selfie swings. We have 3 total, and I'll show you what parks they're in. And as you can see, an adult or an older sibling or a caretaker can sit in the one, and then the autistic child can sit in the other and face the person they're with, and it makes them way more comfortable so they're not afraid, because autistic children can get upset, and it gives the caretaker a way to be able to have the child enjoy being outside without being afraid. And there's a little holder in the front that they can actually put the phone and take a selfie or a video of the child as well. So they're really wonderful additions to our parks, and I'm super, super proud of them. The last park that is not finished yet, they are working on, is Greenleaf Park. It'll be about another month. We are putting in this item here, which is called a multi-spinner carousel. And this is also good for children with disabilities because they can actually sit in the little cones. And we're also going to add another one of the 2 to 5 swings at that park as well. And so I think we have made a really great first step in stride into helping our community out with the children that need the extra help. And so I want to thank Park and Rec. I want to thank Public Works for everything they've done. I want to thank everyone that's sitting up here that went along with my idea, that took us all this way to get here, and that I'm hoping when I'm gone that it continues. So, and Jared, thank you for putting that together for me. I appreciate it. And truly, that's all I have to say tonight, because I think this is just remarkable.
Thank you, Mrs. Gatos. Mr. Poach.
Nothing else. Last week, so I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Harvey.
Wanted to welcome back Mr. Wilson. I
Thank you.
missed executive session, but I was out of town, but I wanted to welcome back. It's nice seeing you here again.
Thank you. It's nice to be here again.
And I also wanted to thank Chief Rudd from Number 5 Fire Company and the broker who referred the customer to us for that ended up purchasing the pumper truck. They both took a little bit of a hit on their share of the funds to allow this deal to come through with Wolf Creek Fire Department. Adam Wilvert of Company 2 Brokers is the gentleman that referred them to us. And they both took a little bit of a hit on their take to make this deal final. So wanted to thank them, that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Mr. Wolfram.
Short and simple. I'd like to also welcome back Mr. Wilson, who looks so much, well, I don't want to say so much better, but he knows what I mean, so good. I mean, we missed you, and again, welcome back, and virtually that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Steve.
Great. Mr.
All right,
Sinka.
like Ron Harvey, I apologize. I was out of town for the work session, but Tom, it is nice to see you and healthy, which is great.
Thank you, Greg.
The reason why I was late today, I was at the school district. I'm arguing on behalf of your children and grandchildren with that critical race theory stuff. Please every resident in Monroeville, please read up on it and get involved. And thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Osinko. Mr. Williams?
Quick decision.
Yeah, I was one of the people that showed up for the dedication of the Peace Pole. It was a nice day, wonderful speakers, and the one lady sang a wonderful song, and the song said, "Peace begins with me." And not just with me, but it begins with you. And one of the ways it'll work is to be tolerant to others without condoning their lifestyles or their thoughts or what they do. But that's what it is. We have to be tolerant, and peace will begin with each of us, and it'll make the municipality a better place. The Peace Pole looks great. If you haven't seen it, go have a look at it. They did a nice job. Public Works did a nice job, and just everybody involved. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Wilson?
I just want to say thank you for all the kind words, and looking forward to more meetings and even getting better. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Wilson, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes, I have and I'll just wrap up here. There's a food truck event that is coming up for at Divine Mercy Academy School at St. Bernadette's. Most people know it as St. Bernadette's School or St. Bernadette's Church. So this is going to be August 22nd on a Sunday, 12 to 3 p.m. It's a food truck event. They had one several weeks ago at North American Martyrs that was actually too successful. All the food trucks ran out of, it was too successful. The food trucks ran out of food, too many people showed up. I think everybody's really ready to get out and do something, to be outside and do something nice. So they're coming back, and they're going to have another event. Like I said, it's Sunday, August 22nd from 12 to 3, and then they're going to have another one in September and October, and I'll remind everybody at that point. But come out and support the school and see your neighbors again. And I would want to thank Public Works as well and the Rec Department, Mike Strom, Paul Estock, for all the hard work that they did for the improvements to the parks in the community. I think one thing we've kind of learned over the pandemic is how important outdoor activities became and how important parks and recreation became. And so I encourage this council to continue to keep our parks at a top condition and still to continue to attract families to the community. I know there were calls in our comprehensive plan, joint comprehensive plan with Wilkins and Churchill to do more at the community park as far as playgrounds and park and recreation. And I would encourage council to, let's maybe get this moving forward a little bit along with the Parks and Recreation Department themselves. I know they are looking maybe long-term plans of what they can do with all the different parks. So I'm just really happy to see this all moving forward. Everything really got frozen during the pandemic as far as finances go. But now, we found out maybe what's important, and let's just move this community in the right direction and still attract the high-quality families that we want to see here in Monroeville. So, and then lastly, I just want to congratulate Mr. Ratcher and his family and his wife Cindy for the marriage of their daughter, Lindsay. It was a pandemic wedding.
Congratulations.
Unfortunately, the plans were changed a few times, or would we say a few or several?
At least 3 or 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're already married. They were married during the pandemic, but they're finally, Lindsay and her husband, Wilton, are finally getting to celebrate with friends and family this weekend. So congratulations to you and Cindy, Bob.
Thank you.
And-
Mayor,
Yes, sir. Mr. Williams.
I think council wants to thank Maddie for delicious cooking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we forgot about that.
They were great, Maddie.
It was great.
Yeah, Maddie Brown, thank you so much.
And-
Little
and-
treat beforehand.
And do it again.
That's why everybody's in a good mood tonight, so
We're on a sugar high.
it worked out.
Yes.
With that, I'd like to seek a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, and good night.